Hello there, a very good morning and welcome to another edition of the Talk of the Town. Joining us this morning on the Talk of the Town is the General Secretary of the Federation of University Teachers Association, Mr. Samarakoon. A very good morning, Mr. Samarakoon, and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Mr. Samarakoon, Sri Lanka is undergoing many changes. A lot of state-owned enterprises are being privatized, some are being run as private-public partnerships. But let's get to the age-old question about the education sector in Sri Lanka. Now, whenever somebody speaks about establishing private universities in Sri Lanka, or to a certain degree, allowing Sri Lankan accredited universities from the UGC to be run privately, we see student bodies standing up against this. We see lecturers and even FUTA standing up against it on certain occasions. But now the government has come forward and said that we are going to establish several private universities in Sri Lanka. Has the stance of FUTA changed in this regard, or are you still against this?
No, the matter about the private university, I think, has to be discussed properly because there has not been any discussion regarding this, even though you say that government has proposed.
I believe it was put to the cabinet, and there was a statement from cabinet.
Yeah, maybe, but the ownership of the education when it is private, so the private sector is going to monopolize that, right? So, but right now what we have is a state sector monopolized education system where there is much room for pre-education. So the fears in society and among various circles, including FUTA or other organizations like IUSF, may be that this pre-education system would be affected badly.
But Mr. Samarakoon, now you are implying this from the perspective that the free education system in Sri Lanka is foolproof. The free education system in Sri Lanka produces people who can be a part of the workforce in Sri Lanka. But do you think that that is really the case? I mean, of course, we do have engineers coming out. We do have professionals like lawyers, doctors coming out of universities. But isn't there also a large sector that goes through this university system, but the moment they come out of the university system, they don't have employable skills? They can't enter the workforce in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that is also part of the myth about the state education system, because these type of myths are created more or less by private entities themselves, and also sometimes there are sort of propagandist movements even from the government corners as well. But I would say education is education, whether it is provided by the private sector or the state sector.
So Mr. Samarakoon, you're telling me that there is no issue of employability among people who enter state?
There may be issues. I don't say that there are no issues, but there may be issues when it comes to certain employments. But more or less, the government, the state university produced graduates are also capable of handling anything in the existing economic sector. But the problem is that there may be issues when it comes to the updates in curriculums, in certain programs. So we accept that there needs to be up-to-date curriculums and the education which is appropriate to the existing industrial sector, etc. So, but that is part of the story, because education is not only for generating jobs or creating employable graduates, because graduation or the ultimate goal of education is not only that. So education is to, in a way, is a humanizing process. So that is largely the most philosophical understanding of it.
So Mrs. Samarakoon, we've got a few minutes left. So if I am to weigh the importance of employability and the philosophical angle, of course, of education that you mentioned, which would be more important in your perspective?
Yeah, both are important, I would say. But once a person is educated somehow in whatever the education discipline it may be, so that person is capable of developing its own skills one day. So because now look at India. So India provides education right now in various sectors, right? So
but then there are also private universities in India.
Yeah, there are private universities, but the case is the accessibility to education. So once education may be monopolized by the private sector, the accessibility would be reduced. So our argument is
but
that
Mr. Samarakoon, now when you speak about accessibility, there are about 400,000 students, I stand to be corrected, who are 400 to 300,000 students who sit for the advanced level examination, but only about, say, less than maybe 50,000, less than 100,000 for sure. I don't have the exact statistics on me, but if my memory serves me right, only that many students get in. Let's say 100,000, I mean, being extremely optimistic, let's say 100,000, that's still 2/3 of students who have no accessibility to state sector education. Is that fair?
That is not fair. We accept that. But the problem is, are we going to produce graduates only? Because there are other avenues of education, technical education, right? So there are various streams of education which the government can promote through various institutions. Well, our problem is the education in the university system, because this is a different field. The university education aims to produce graduates, right, with a world view, with a universal perspective, right? So those graduates are the products which are going to actually shoulder the entire democratic system in Sri Lanka. Because right now our aim is to produce a graduate which should be able to sort of keep up with the new trends in the world and also in a way actively participate in the democracy. So private sector education, I think, is not much concerned about those aspects.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samarakoon, the General Secretary of the Federation of University Teachers Association, for joining us this morning. It's back to the Morning Fix on Yes 101.